Okay, so want to tell me a few words about how you ended up working together on this movie, how it came together. I mean, were you fans of the Safdie brothers, or you know?
We basically we saw a note in an agency that said Rob Pattinson, Safdie brothers. So we asked, what is this? We were fans of Rob for a long time, and the Safdie brothers we were introduced to, and we saw the trailer of their previous movie, so we really loved it. Saw the movie immediately, read the script, and we were hooked immediately.
Mm-hmm.
So and you were in much earlier than us, of course.
Yeah, I was just a big fan of the Safdies, and kind of this didn't exist as a script when I met them, and I just wanted to do something which just felt very kinetic and very kind of breathless in its pacing, and all of their movies just feel so kind of out of control, and I really wanted to do something like that.
Many people have called this your best performance. I mean, do you feel that it is so? Since you mentioned how breathless it is, and I assume kind of demanding to do.
I mean, you could never really tell. I mean, it's just sort of. I mean, I can't tell about my own stuff anyway. But I mean, it's definitely. I really wanted to do something which felt very, very of the moment, and I think the Safdies definitely have. They feel like they're very zeitgeisty directors at the moment, and I think that's kind of what people are connecting to, and they just sort of. It's been a while since there's been like a proper like punk movie, and I feel like this is kind of. It just feels a little bit more dangerous than the average thing that comes out.
To me, it's really interesting how you've used your recognition and your status after Twilight to build a very interesting, I think, career working with very interesting directors. Do you have like a career plan? How do you pick? I mean, is this a cinephile exercise?
I mean, basically after I did Cosmopolis with Cronenberg like in 2012 or 13 or something, I didn't really realize that you could actually work with these kind of legendary film like auteurs, and it really changed my whole rationale and how I pick things, because I got a massive high off doing that job, and even just getting the job in the first place. And then so afterwards I kind of was just tracking down people like Herzog and like Claire Denis, and James Gray, like all of these people who I grew up just loving their movies, but I just didn't really think you could actually work with them. So for a long time I was basically just trying to recreate my DVD shelf from when I was 17. I'm still kind of in the process of that.
Do you have any other dream collaborators? I mean, you've already done Claire Denis, as you mentioned. I don't know how you top that.
I'd love to do a movie with Godard. But yeah, there's tons. God, I'm blanking now. Yeah, there's a few people I'm working with next year. I think Sierra Guerra, who did Embrace of the Serpent. I just thought that movie was just so incredible. And I'm working with him next year. And yeah, it's a ton of people.
What about you guys? I mean, you've taken an interest in independent cinema, and you've worked with interesting directors, interesting projects as well. Do you have any other dream collaborators? How do you approach the project that you work on?
I think the criteria, it's a combination of the filmmaker. We are very picky and selective with who the director or directors of a film are. The actors, the script, making things that artistically have a quality to them, and at the same time can combine commerciality so that you can get out there and have exposure to a broader audience. And I think with Good Time, all the boxes had those checks. It's hard to find today things that could be different I feel like most of things that come in and we see, you feel like, okay, you know, I've seen that. Just give me something different. A lot of times, though, you know, that's what the filmmaker will bring, and a performance that will stand out will bring that uniqueness to a project. But with Good Time, I feel like we succeeded in terms of offering a very different movie with a very unique voice.
Whatever we do, we just want to do it super well, right? If we pick something that's larger scale, for example, a little more pop, like our American Made, you do it with Doug Liman, you do it with Tom Cruise, you know? Something like this. The Safdie brothers had a super unique voice. Rob is a great actor, so we wanted to do something more artistic, let's say, on this side, but at the same time, like, it's not an art movie, this one. It's kind of like for everybody, because it's a wild ride at the same time. So that's how we try to pick whatever we do. We strive for an excellent result in that specific.
Is there a moment in the movie that stands out for you, like a favorite moment to shoot? Because it looks like a very fun movie to do. I mean, is there a scene or something that stands out?
I mean, a lot of it. I mean, it was kind of it is just a really, really fun character. I mean, I think playing any part that it doesn't really he doesn't really have any fear and doesn't really have any shame in his actions, and so it's kind of you're playing someone who's not self-reflective at all, and so you're kind of there's just a relentlessness to almost every interaction he has with anybody else, and so it's always just kind of fun because normally you're having to play parts where you're kind of up and down, and you have to kind of play sort of depressing scenes, whatever. But this is just all forward momentum. But I don't know. There's I think a lot of the scenes in it are really funny. I mean, a lot of the stuff I was doing with Buddy Duress, it's just fun. I mean, and working with the Safdies, they're just quite audacious. I mean, they always like putting in their writing a kind of just left turns all over. In every single scene, you feel you're going in one direction, and suddenly it completely switches genres, in the middle of a scene. Yeah, it's always fun to do that.
I assume After Hours was kind of an influence here. It's one of my favorite movies. I don't know if it was on your minds while doing the movie. What are some other cult favorites that you might really enjoy?
I mean, I definitely watched Straight Time before we did it with Dustin Hoffman, and Executioner's Song with Tommy Lee Jones, with the TV movie, that was a big part of it, and lots of stuff about Charles Manson. To be honest, I mean that was a big part of the performance is Manson.
I remember when watching Breaking Dawn Part 1, I remember realizing that halfway through the movie it turned into some weird young adult Cronenberg with body horror and stuff. And then, you did 2 consecutive Cronenbergs, which was really interesting. So what do you remember about that transition? How did it feel to go from the one thing to the other? And how was working with Cronenberg, of course?
I mean, it was just such a gift to do Cosmopolis. I mean, I didn't really know what I was going to do as the end of the Twilight series was ending. Even though I'd done movies in between, I just hadn't got a specific direction I was going to go in. And then Cosmopolis just came out of nowhere, and I just thought the writing was just so excellent. And it's also, as soon as you work with someone who's just a kind of a titan, and he had so much trust in me and so much sort of belief, it really changed my whole attitude towards acting and my career in general. Then you can kind of, if Cronenberg's cool with you, then it's a vote of confidence, and it kind of allowed me to go into other things afterwards, which I don't know if I would have had the confidence to try and pursue without that.